Nona Peltier joins us in the studio. Nona, housing market. Wow, it's the hot topic of conversation again. Does it ever go away?
Yes, exactly. It even came in with the Air New Zealand issue because the airfares, the issue about airfares and people not having as much disposable income, so they're not traveling as much for leisure activities, is part of what the economists are talking about with Air New Zealand too. Because one of the reasons why Air New Zealand has revised down its forecast is because it's not just international travel, it's domestic travel. Yeah. And that goes right to our economy, back to the housing market.
I.e. they're spending so much more money on housing, they don't have the disposable income to go travelling domestically.
That's it. And you know, one of the things we've had more discussion about housing in the last couple of days. Milford Asset Management's expert on the housing, Frances Sweeman, came out yesterday and said, look, she thinks that the New Zealand housing market mirrors the Australian one, and that the credit crunch that they're facing in Australia will also happen here in New Zealand, but for somewhat different reasons, partly because our banks, our big banks, are owned by Australian companies. The squeeze is going to be felt there. That has a potential for a trickle-on effect here to New Zealand. As well, the Reserve Bank is looking for the banks to hold more capital. That is potentially going to squeeze the bank's resources in terms of lending. That credit crunch that the Australians are feeling, to a lesser extent perhaps, will be also felt in New Zealand, which makes it harder to get cash to buy a house.
So
that's
one issue. A slowdown?
Well, they're saying that, yes, the prices are going to drop, because if people can't borrow to buy, there you go. So it doesn't really make much difference if it's that you want a place to live, can you afford to buy one? Now, on the other side of that, CoreLogic came out today and said, yeah, but, you know, we have a different situation here. Our LVRs, for example, were tough on our market when it was heated up. So that means that when it's cooling down, the Reserve Bank can go easier on us, which means that credit might be easier. So that's a completely different kind of point of view from what we've seen from Milford. So yeah, which way is it going to go?
Watch this space. We used to just go into shops and pull money out of our wallet, Nona, and pay for things, but you say big changes ahead for the way that consumers do pay for the goods. How so?
Well, I have to tell you, I still like to use money, so I don't know about everybody else, but there's a lot of other ways that you can pay, and online EFTPOS is one of them. And so that's all coming about as a result of what we call open banking platform, so that there's all kinds of tech wizards out there who can come up with financial applications which you can download onto your smartphone.
So you're not talking about a debit card, you know, because you can pay online for online things with a debit card. This is your actual EFTPOS card where you've got real cash monies in it.
Yeah, that's basically like your phone, and you can now use all variety of apps which are being developed because of this open platform. So this platform is a secure platform which the banks are supporting, so that technology wizards can develop financial applications that allow you to pay in all sorts of ways we've never even thought of yet. So the proliferation of options is going to take off in this coming year. So we've heard of, Apple Pay and WePay and all this. There's all those kinds of digital wallets. Yes, we have those. But there's going to be different ways that people can pay, sort of between you and I, so we can just bypass the bank, so to speak. So our money, I can't even imagine the sorts of things that people are coming up with. But the key difference between just some app and what we're seeing is the security of it. So because it's supported by the banks, it's going to have security built in, which makes that exchange of funds a more feasible option. And that's going to be interesting for retailers. How are they going to cope with that? Who knows?
And competition.
Yeah. A lot of change coming in that space.
Exciting. What have the markets been up to today? We heard about Air New Zealand, obviously.
Actually, and Air New Zealand definitely dropped, 13%, and that dragged down some big players with it, including Tourism Holdings and Auckland Airport. Now, I spoke to both of those companies today, and they're also reporting their financial result next month, so they're not talking, except I did speak to the chief executive of Tourism Holdings, and he said, look, if we had something to say to the market, we would. But hey, that didn't make any difference, because Tourism Holdings fell 6% anyway, and Auckland Airport was down more than 3%. That dragged our market down nearly 1% overall, and that compares with, say, Australia, which was just very little change. The market's improved quite a lot because the Apple chief executive came out with his financial result and said that the trade talks were going well, because he apparently has an in there with Donald Trump, and things between trade talks on China are maybe looking up. So that was the bone the market needed, and they certainly perked
Leapt
up.
on it.
Well, except here in New Zealand. So we were down 81 points to 8,926. Our dollar was trading quite firm, 68.5 and 95.2 Australian, 52.3 British pence. There you go.
Thank you, Nona. Nona Peltier with, well, a summary of everything you need to know about business today.